everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Not House podcast. Mom just confirmed that we think it's number 12. I think that's right too. So thank you. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this is going to be a special podcast because if you continue to watch, we will have a little insert of an interview with Caitlin Hunter. She was here last weekend.
Last weekend.
And she was gracious enough to let us do a little, I guess it was about a 15 or 20 minute little interview with her. We had a really great time with her and her visit. I think Mom and I both learned a lot. So some of that we'll share as we go along in this podcast. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get started.
All right. I see. Do you guys see what she's got on? Hey.
I know. I finished it and you know, I guess I do best under pressure because I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning and then got up at 5 and got in a couple of hours to finish it before the Caitlin Hunter meet and greet on Saturday morning. And even then, I think it was still like a half an inch short. Yeah, it's about a half an inch short of the left sleeve. But that's okay, because
there aren't any rules.
There aren't any rules, and nothing's perfect. And it's finished, and I'm wearing it. And if I hadn't just said, you know what, I'm done. Because what did you say? Were we sitting there, and you said, well, did you hold it up to the other one and measure it to see if it's the same? And I said, yes, it's not about that, Mom. It's about I don't have any time. I'm out of time. I have to get in the shower.
I was walking out the door and she said, here, Mom, steam block this for me. And you know, I do not steam block. Ever. But because it doesn't hold. But it did okay for that day.
It looks better now because she did a real blocking.
It does look a lot better.
Feels good too. So yeah, so I don't know if I can stand up and you can see the whole thing. So my sleeves. So just so everybody knows what yarn I used Periwinkle Sheep Watercolors 2, and I meant to get the colors out of my bag to know exactly which colors it was.
Any Wine in a Port.
Any Wine in a Port was hers. I used Swift
Bliss
Sock for the blue, for the navy blue, which I don't think we have any of. Wait a minute. Hold on. No, we don't have any.
We don't have any of it.
Of the navy blue. And then I used Dyed in the Wool. 2 skeins of Dyed in the Wool. I used a.
I want to say that one's Wallflower.
That sounds right. The pink. Mm-hmm. The pink, it went a little bit pink and then a little bit lavender. So you can see here on the sleeve, this was all out of one skein, the Wallflower skein. And then the green might have been July. I don't know. I'll put it in the show notes because I think I still have my tags in my bag at home.
It really, the Dyed in the Wool really works out well.
Yeah.
And Caitlin talked about when she was here that one of the things that she does different is she sees this, of course, you know, she likes to watercolor.
Right. Which you see that in her little drawings and paintings that she does of her patterns.
Right. But she calls using the speckle a watercolor effect, where the lines aren't crisp. And it's not that Heather's lines are kind of crisp, but it has a watercolor effect. It's not just a solid color.
Right. Or all one speckle that's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When she was here, she took a Julie Osselin and a spin cycle to start with. You may have seen her post it. And it truly gives a watercolor effect.
Yeah, it's a really pretty one.
Yes,
it's a pretty one. I'm sure you guys all follow Caitlin Hunter Boyland Knitworks, so on Instagram. So that'll be a new design. But you know it's DK, and I was thinking about that this morning. She doesn't really care that it's DK sweater. gonna be summer. Of course, it'll be fall before you know it. Of course, we haven't had a spring. I think we've had 2 spring days.
And do you realize there's a frost warning?
I'm working on just like a miscellaneous little baby blanket. I had ripped out, so two things. There was another sweater that I had picked up because, I finished this. And so I said, okay, I can pick up a sweater. So I had started a sweater, gosh, probably 2 years ago, working out of Western Skies. What's the base, Mom? Magnolia Sock, which is a cashmere blend. And I don't know, I got, pretty good ways through the yoke. Did you rip it out yet?
I have not ripped it out yet.
And I picked it up, and I had done a really good job of marking off where I had finished so that when I picked it up, I could just start knitting. And I was texting Mom, and I said, you're not going to believe this. My short rows are finished. I can just knit. I have to just, go about another 10 rounds of stockinette before I split for the sleeves. And I said, it seems so tight. Of course, I had been knitting this, which was at a looser gauge. And, she says, well, what's the gauge? And I said, well, the pattern.
Heaven forbid we check the
right.
gauge.
I said, well, the pattern is, blah, blah, blah gauge. And she said, but what's your gauge? So I take it and I flatten it out and I get my, little measuring thing and I look at it and, clearly I'm off a good bit. And I measured it again and we had this whole conversation via text about being off. And she goes, Heather, it's going to be too small. It's not only going to be too small, it's going to be really small. And I remembered not being able to get to gauge because the pattern called for fingering. It called for Tosh. I think it was just Tosh.
Light?
Tosh Light, yeah. And
you should have been able to get gauge.
And I couldn't get gauge. And I am typically a loose knitter.
Yes.
So for this sweater, I went down a needle size compared to what Mom did hers on, or the one she knit.
Because you were on a 4.
No, I was on a 5, and then I did a 3 for the ribbing.
I did a 5.
Well, I was on a 5, so we were at the same needle size, and that was the problem.
But my gauge was tighter than your gauge.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short about that. So Mom gets to rip that out, and I've got all that yarn, and so I thought I was gonna get to work on another sweater, but so be it. So there's always something else to knit, right? So I'm not working on that. And then I had an old project that I also ripped out because it had too many mistakes in it. It was a pattern, it was a hedgehog pattern. Bayeda had done a baby blanket pattern that had a gradient effect in it, and I tried to pick it up, and it was one that I had started in Hawaii. And it was just, I couldn't fix it. I couldn't find a point to get to the right stitch count, and it was just maddening. So I just ripped all of it out. So I'm just doing a plain garter blanket, baby blanket. I didn't bring it with me because I'm not far enough into it to really, I haven't changed skeins for the gradient effect yet for it to really have any kind of impact to show you. So I'll do that next time.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for some inspiration for a new project. Oh, and I also finished, since I'm just going.
Yeah, see?
I'm just going.
Yeah.
So this was the very gifted cowl that I had worked on, or I started a couple of podcasts ago. I used the call the
Rain.
yarn. Yeah, the Rain, the Shibui Rain, which is a cotton
and silk
cloud. And this was just a simple cowl. Mom did her wonders blocking it because I thought that it's pretty blue.
It's the reason why she wanted to do it.
Right.
It's the reason why she
all
wanted
about
to
the
use
color.
that yarn.
It is, because it was all about the color. You say it's all about the color when customers come in, too.
There's a Western Sky color that's that color, too.
I know, but I wanted decay because I thought it would,
And she wants decay. Always.
Always. I always want decay, and we. Anyway, we'll have some decay. We have some decay, but not in this blue. So anyway, so I'm looking forward to wearing this. But I should have done it a little differently. One, I don't think I should have cast on as many as I did. I followed the pattern, and the Very Gifted Cowl is a pattern by Church Mouse, right?
I think it's Church Mouse.
I think it's Church Mouse. And they did a kind of a guide for all different weights of yarn. I should have gone down probably another needle size, and I wish I would have done it a little bit smaller and wider. But I do like the mohair in it, don't you?
Yeah, I do too.
Because I think without the mohair, it would really be limp, more limp.
Yes.
I use the term limp, and that's probably not the most flattering term for a yarn, but I really think it's kind of descriptive. Don't you think it's kind of descriptive? Because it's cotton.
Well, it doesn't
It doesn't
hold its shape.
It doesn't
very
hold
well,
its shape, and
which is typical of cotton.
yeah, I know. Mom's not the biggest cotton fan.
I'm not. Now I do like the Shibui rain.
You like linen,
I like linen, okay.
but I think it's a difference of what you like to knit with, and versus just liking
The end result.
yeah,
Linen's hard on my hands
right.
because cotton is hard on your hands. It doesn't have any boing to it, any spring. So consequently, it makes it harder for me to knit with. I'm not a big fan.
So that's all I have.
Is that all? You
Yep,
got?
I'm
That's
done.
a lot.
I'm done.
That's a lot.
Well, for me.
It is.
But we have a big month coming up, so.
Whew. I've got Andrea Mallory's The Shift on, and I think I showed that I just started this, maybe the last.
You were a little
podcast.
ways into it because you could see the color.
I am super pleased with it. The pattern was written extremely well. It's a little unusual when you block something and you have to sew up one side at the beginning and one side at the end. And it was exactly the same size. I mean, so it's so.
Is that a result of the pattern being written well, or the knitter doing a good job? Or both?
And the yarn blocking extremely well. I mean, I don't know. But it was really, it was very symmetrical. I mean, the point came out
Perfect.
perfect. It was just,
Well, it really looks good on you.
thank you, thank you. We have sold a lot of Dyed in the Wool. And
No, I mean, it's been our #1 seller since you got back from Edinburgh.
so I should have that sometime next week. The girls have just been overwhelmed, they said, with orders because of this. And it always amazes everybody with how the colors come together. You have to have a little bit of vision and trust.
And you ordered some extra of the colors that it was originally done in, right?
I will. I'll have, I think I've got 10 kits of those coming.
Okay.
So,
So what else?
I finished my socks.
Are those for you?
Well, they fit me.
Right. That's what you said.
I know.
I was just
She
checking.
says that like she might want them.
Well, since she can't make me sweaters, maybe I could get some socks.
There you go. There you go. And again, that was in Swift, in the Swift Bliss sock. I really like it. It is a really tight twist. I did
And it has cashmere in it, so
It
it's
does.
a soft sock.
It's a soft sock.
Which is good that it has the tight twist for that.
I did the Eye of the Partridge heel. Carissa even
Yeah.
commented on it, and
I think you said that last time.
did. And we're back. D. Gilpin, that I got some balls of when I was in Edinburgh, and I have since ordered, and it has shipped
So we're just expecting it any day.
any day. I did.
Now, did you order every color?
I did.
Okay. I thought you said you were going to.
I did. I think there's 20 colors. Some I ordered more of than I did others. But yes, I got all the colors. So I wanted you know, I'm crazy about Colorwork. And the Immortalis of Caitlin Hunter's is really a fun pattern. I've done it once. And
Did you mind doing it again?
You know, I didn't. It's like I don't know, it's like a math problem. You know, 2, 3, 2, I don't know. So, I want to show that.
It's pretty.
As I was working it, I was afraid that my purple and my gold and my orange was too bold, and it's still pretty bold, but the
lavender kind of softens it up.
Softens it up, yeah. So I wanted to talk a minute about non-superwash versus superwash in Colorwork. I was amazed. Now, I blocked this last night, but I was amazed that it doesn't look a whole lot different than it did before I blocked it. So I've decided that what happens is when you're doing Colorwork in
But wait a minute. I thought you've said before that when you're working with a non-superwash yarn, that your stitches aren't as even until you block it.
They usually are not. They usually are not, and that's true. But with Colorwork, in a superwash yarn, your stitches slip, and that's why it puckers. Because there's nothing for the stitch to hold on to. It puckers until you block it, and then it smooths out.
With non-superwash.
With superwash.
I mean with superwash. Okay.
Right. So with non-superwash, it's sticky.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're knitting it, the stitches stay where they're supposed to be. Your floats stay, and I may not be explaining myself well.
Well, I think what we were talking about before with the stitches not being even was not in Colorwork.
Right, it was
it
not.
It was in a complete
sweater.
Like
the bottom of your sweater, if it was...
Right, or say this sweater, I don't know what this one was done in.
That one was done in Brooklyn Tweed.
This was done in Brooklyn Tweed. But you did your version of this, right? No, you didn't do this one. You did Branches and Buds.
Right, but it looks like, the bottom looks like that.
And that was the one you were referring to because you didn't use a superwash in that one.
Right.
And you said that once you blocked it, all of that evened out.
Right, it does. And this looks better after I blocked it, but it looked pretty good before I blocked it. And so my point is the yarn being sticky as you're doing your floats, your Colorwork, they stay there. Whereas with superwash, there's nothing to make it stay. Your float is big in the back, right? So, but it looks puckered until you block it. And this did not.
It also has a little bit of a felted look.
It really does. And I had tried to explain that, I think last time, that in the samples that I saw, it looked felted. Now, it doesn't really look felted, but...
It's just so even.
It's so even. And this is the lamb's wool. And it is a 4-ply, so you have 2 plies that are plied twice, and then they're plied together.
Okay. It's also light.
It looks like it would be heavy.
It looks like it would be heavy because it looks very dense, but it's kind of light.
It is. It is. I was super pleased with it.
It's really pretty.
I cannot wait to make...
You're not supposed to hit the table.
Sorry. I cannot wait to do a sweater in it.
Do you have one picked out?
No.
No.
No. I do have a sweater picked out to start.
Okay.
With Elan when we get it.
Well, that's different. That's not this yarn.
No. But I've got a sample made in it, and it's very soft. There's no halo to it at all. It felt good to knit with it. So I'm super pleased with it. So we will, of course, let you know as soon as it comes in.
Right, and it'll be on the website. And Mom is now trained in photography for taking pictures. And as we get new yarns in, those are Oh, there comes a fire truck. The beauties of being downtown. Hopefully
So
it's not too bad.
this summer, my project is going to be re-photographing all of the yarns. So,
Right. But for now, it's as we get them in.
right, it is.
Yeah.
Mostly so they're more, some of them are fine, but mostly so they're more consistent. I think I found a way for them to be more consistent.
So I think, is that all we really have to talk about, Mom?
I want to talk about what, we've got the pop-up shop coming, which is 2 weeks from today.
Right. I brought my cheat sheet card. I have been selectively reposting some of the pictures. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, we're Not House Yarns on Instagram, and we have this big event for Maryland Sheep and Wool Weekend, which is May 4th, 5th, and 6th. So I'm gonna rattle off the names of the dyers, and we have a bag maker as well. So Julie Osseline is gonna be here. Farmer's Daughter is gonna be here.
She's from Montana.
Right. Autumn and Indigo is gonna be here. Duck Duck Wool, Little Fox, Swift Yarns, Periwinkle Sheep, the girls from Nice and Knit, and That Clever Clementine. That Clever Clementine is Miss Vicky, and she's always she's been here every year. She makes bags. So I've posted some of the things that they're making as they've posted pictures for things they're doing for the pop-up. So you'll see those. If you don't follow all of the artists and you follow us, you'll see some of those posts. And if you think, well, those are kind of random pictures, that's what they are.
Right.
But it's a big event, and we're really looking forward to it. So that any of you that are coming to Maryland Sheep and Wool, hopefully you can make it for a visit, to stop in.
And we have several of our yarns
Right, that we'll have restocked.
that we'll have restocked. Western Sky, and she is sending some of her sock kits, which is where you have a skein of sock yarn and then a mini skein with it to do a toe or a heel, or even a cuff. And then Olan, Jess, is sending us another big order with two.
And that's a new base.
It is a new base. It's a still fingering. She calls it sport, I think.
Right, but it's
It's more traditional fingering. And
She's doing a special colorway.
she's doing a special colorway. So is Western Sky. We placed another order with Chasing Rabbits.
Yep.
And
Fuse.
Fuse Fiber, which will be new to us. We'll have a big order of it in for the pop-up shop.
I don't know where we're gonna put everything.
All of our early birds sold. Some people said they wanted the early bird just so they could get the goodie bag.
Yeah.
That mom's Christmas stocking.
Yeah.
That leaves me a lot to live up to.
I know.
Right?
Now we got to make sure that it's a good bag.
It's a good bag. So I think that's all.
Yeah.
Oh, let me say something else. Caitlin Hunter is the most refreshing person I've been around in a long time. There are no rules. On her section, you'll see I ask her about.
Well, don't spoil it.
Well, I gotta spoil it a little. I asked her about single ply, and she had really good answers for me. Enough so that I may do a single ply sweater, which goes against all the rules. But if there was one
It
thing,
goes against your rules.
it goes against my rules. It does. But she has no rules. And, just so refreshing. So refreshing.
Yeah. Very gracious, very humble.
She doesn't know how special she is.
Speaking of that, real quick, before we go into that little segment of our interview with her, she was so gracious. She left us her samples for a
She
little
did.
bit.
She did.
If you're in the area, I don't know how. I think we agreed that we would have them until the pop up, right? Until the 1st of May, because we're not going to have room for them.
She was funny. She said, "Do you want to keep my samples?" And I said, "Of course." And she said, "Oh, good. I can take yarn home."
Right. So we have her newest sweater. What is this one called, Mom?
I don't know.
Can
And
you
she
see
didn't.
it?
And she didn't make me feel bad about not being able to pronounce everything.
Now this one's done in a heavier yarn.
It's done in DK.
Yeah.
And she likes to use a twist in DK
Yeah.
because it's heavier.
But anyway, so we have several of her samples here at the shop.
So if you want to come by and see them,
Yep. We're here.
all right, you can find us on. Let's do this one more time. Heather says we don't have to do it, and I say we do. All right,
So you get to do it.
Well, I never know what they all are. Our website is nothouseyarns.com. Our Instagram,
It's Knot House Yarns. We're on Facebook
I
as
don't
the
know.
Knot House, and we're on Ravelry as the Knot House.
see, there you go.
So we're located in Frederick, Maryland. Thank you guys for watching.
And thanks for everybody that came for Caitlin. And we had a lot of new faces in the shop.
We did.
And we are looking forward to seeing everybody for the pop-up shop.
All right.
All
Thanks, you
right.
guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
And what do you mean it's in the mail? She knit it for somebody else? Here she is. Here she comes.
Are you guys already recording?
Yeah, we're recording.
Oh my goodness, I just did a silly.
No, this is just
test
so
it.
that it's running.
Do you want me to be wearing a knitted thing? It's probably a good idea.
I want you to be wearing what you want to be wearing.
My knitted thing is good. I'll have my-
Preferably one of your designs.
this is one.
I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
I know. I want to wear the one that somebody else knit. I really like this one.
Thank you.
With Mom's little itty bitty things. The
Her little tassels.
her little
My
tassels.
tassels are little like that.
She just has the tassels on the ends that I didn't have.
Did I bring my Aura?
It's
shawl?
somewhere.
Yeah, it's
But
here.
it's over there. My
There.
tassels are pretty little.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look a little fluffier than Mom's, so.
But it could be that I used singles. Didn't I, you know?
Yeah,
they puff.
and those aren't singles.
And that'll definitely make it.
Those tassels, they puff up.
Because that's what singles do, right?
They puff up.
They fill in and
They
fluff
fill
out.
in and fluff out.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. I don't do podcasts. You gotta guide me.
You
So
need to
how
scoot
many
up a
have we
little
done?
bit.
How many have we done, Mom? I don't know.
Well,
10.
we've done 10 for the record, 11 for the record, 11 for the record, but we've done a few that we had to throw out.
Mom.
Well, we have. Let me also say we have Amy here
Hi!
from Little Fox,
She's sitting over in the blue chair, the famous
having
blue
a
chair.
great time laughing at us.
I love being an audience.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
envious. More closer.
Heather needs to come.
Yeah.
There we go.
Throwing my yarn on the floor.
Throwing your yarn
It's
on
all
the
right.
floor.
So we've had a big weekend with Caitlin here.
We have.
Everybody knows, I think, or anybody that follows us or listens to us knows that Caitlin was here, and we've been so excited about her coming. Mom especially, not that I haven't been excited, but Mom talks about it more than I do because I have to play it cool. I have to play
I've
it a
been
little
trying
bit
to
cool.
play it cool till somebody ratted me out.
Everybody's cooler than me. At least that's how I feel.
So poor Caitlin, she's probably got jet lag too, because she's
But we're handling the jet lag, right?
Mm-hmm.
handling the jet lag.
Yeah,
We were talking
Medicine.
about we were talking about being up at the butt crack of dawn.
the butt crack of dawn. I think it's an Alaskan saying, and Heather thinks it's a Southern saying.
I don't know where it came from, but I've always said the butt crack of dawn.
Me too.
So I
It
felt
sounds
really
like something Eric would say.
I don't know where it came from, but
It's how you know you shouldn't be up yet.
yeah,
It's-
Yes.
it's
when you're up at the
unpleasant.
butt crack of dawn.
Mhm. Yep.
So now I really feel like we have a connection more than a knitting connection.
Mm-hmm.
So
There you go.
So there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about on the podcast that I think are interesting about Caitlin that we've learned over the past couple of days. And there was one a few minutes ago that I made her stop on. She was talking about. I said, "Save it, save it, save it." But first, I want to ask Mom. So what's the biggest thing that you've learned since with Caitlin's visit?
That there are no rules.
Oh, that's not what I wanted you to say.
Well, I'll say that first. One of the things that I wanted to ask Caitlin was about using single ply for sweaters.
That's what I wanted her to say.
Because, you know, in my world, you don't use single ply for sweaters. And I asked her about it. And she kind of got this funny look on her face. And I said, have you not ever had a bias or anything? And she's looking at me like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't say that.
You did. You had to look.
Oh yeah.
Because you were thinking it.
Yes. Is this a PG podcast?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, because you were thinking it.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that.
I'm sorry.
So she said, no, I like doing single plies because they fill in. They don't show your floats behind because it all kind of fills in. And I'm looking at her like, really? And she says, and besides, I never knew you weren't supposed to do that, so you can do it. Mm-hmm. So I can do it now, just so you know. I've decided, nobody's ever told you.
Nobody ever told me that single plies would bias, and you know, maybe somebody's had that experience, but I've knit lots of sweaters out of single ply and none of them have biased, so.
So see, I didn't know. So I said I was gonna ask you, but the look on her face was, do you know something I don't know?
I have an expressive face, and people know what I'm thinking, and
That's not a bad thing.
well, it can be.
The coolest thing about that, though, that I got out of it was that it fills in. Because I can completely see, because you know how you talk about single ply yarn when you're winding it, and sometimes Mom will cuss when she's winding single ply yarn.
Occasionally.
She'll say, damn, it's felting. You know how it felts on itself, Heather? It sticks.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're knitting, and when you do color work like you do,
It makes sense.
It's like coloring using crayons, and you get it really solid. Because it looks solid.
It's
so,
not
so
like
so I
behind
completely get that now.
Versus coloring with markers, where it's very sharp and delineated and stitch definition.
Right, and you can see the lines.
And sometimes
So if you used
want
a
that.
twisted yarn, right?
Yeah, and then that's sometimes you want that. And I don't mind doing color work with a plied yarn when it's a thicker yarn like this is DK, because you know the stitches are plumper. But when I'm doing a fingering weight color work, I like them to I like them to do a little bit of the work for me, because I don't want to knit on a size 0 needle a big colored fingering color work fingering sweater.
I knew you always knit to a loose gauge, or usually do on fingering, and all of that makes sense now. But you know, I just had to ask the questions.
Well, living in Oregon, our sweater weather is not like, because I grew up in Alaska where it's cold and you can wear big heavy sweaters, but in Oregon it's never cold enough, in my opinion, to wear a very heavy sweater. So I want to knit sweaters that I can actually wear. So a fingering weight sweater it's the only way to go.
Well, see, I'm a big girl, so I've always decided fingering is more flattering.
It is more flattering.
Because I don't need any more bulk.
None of us need more bulk. I mean, unless you're wearing it like as an outerwear layer,
Right.
and you're wearing it, you know, to repel the weather. But we're wearing them. We're fashionable ladies. And
That's right.
We want to wear them something pretty that we can wear out to dinner. That's like warm and comfortable, but also beautiful.
That's right.
I feel passionate about it.
I know you do. I know you do.
So where do you get your fashion sense? And I'm going to finish my thought here before you answer that. Because when I went shopping this fall for sweaters, it seemed like, maybe it's because I had a different perspective and I was looking at things differently, because there's always that, okay? But it seemed like the color work around the yokes, and I'm probably not using the right words for that, but it seemed like they were more prevalent in the selections in the stores.
Like Lopes are in style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were ahead of that a little bit, or it seems like it. Seems like it. So what do you look for that fashion sense? Where do you go to? I mean, is it something that you read? Is there certain books or trade magazines, or
No.
are you stalking, Paris Vogue or something
No.
on the internet?
No.
Runway.
Oh, I forgot. Bad. Don't knit and talk. I'll stop. I didn't
Did
pick
you
up
just
my
make a
wrap.
mistake? Oh,
I
okay.
didn't pick up my wrap, but that's fine. I'll just do that later. No, I don't do that. And I feel like people who are designers, the people who have the kind of brains of designers, are noticing things in the world and cataloging them and then reflecting them back. And sometimes, and that's why designers, if you look at runways, a lot of times a bunch of designers will have similar looks in the same season. And it's not that they're looking at each other, it's that they're reading the environment. And I mean, I don't know, I feel like, to me, getting into knitting, I suddenly became aware of the Lopapesa. See, I don't even know how to say it. A Lopi sweater. A Lopapesa sweater.
Maybe. Okay.
From Iceland. And I just loved them, but I wanted to kind of modernize it. But it was just because it was the first time I'd really become aware of them and aware of the fact that I could actually make one myself. And so I think maybe it's just serendipitous for my case this time. But really, I just think that artists are people who are tuned into a certain vibration of the mood of the world, and they are able to translate it in a way that other people relate to because they're feeling it too, but it's not their language to visually express it, but they get it, and that's why it works for musicians.
That's why it works. Okay.
Musicians, a song that resonates with a lot of people, they're tapping into something that we're all kind of feeling, angst or happiness, or and we're
looking for that song to sing along to that you can't get out of your head,
and it moves you, you
Right.
get tingles. And I'm not saying that my knitting designs are like that, but it's just a way of translating the things that we all see. And some of us express it. We get the input, and then we
Can express it.
can express it visually, and other people express it, in other ways. But if it's a good design and it's good art, then it resonates with a lot of people. And I think that...
Well, I think your Sunset Highway did that. I think it was... The traditional Colorwork sweaters are very daunting. Especially, an Alice
Starmore.
Where it's all Colorwork, and it's daunting to look at it and think, oh my God, I don't think I can do that. Yours are equally as beautiful, but they're simpler. They have a simpler, from me, and I had never knit Colorwork before Sunset Highway, it was I think I can do that. I still don't know if I could do an Alice Starmore.
Well, I don't think of myself as an expert knitter. I think of myself as a good designer and a medium level knitter.
Well, I think you're a great designer, and I think you're a very good knitter. And I think that one of the things that I heard so much this weekend was, number one, that you were a very nice person, but that you took away the rules.
Well,
And I think that's great.
some people might be mad at me about that.
Well, there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. You can knit to the rules and be very traditional if you want to.
Right.
And create beautiful things, but I'm a very practical person, and I just want to be able to knit something that looks good enough and I can wear it. And I
Right.
mean, nobody's going to look at the inside of my sweaters
When you've got them on.
if I don't let them.
Right. That's
And I
right.
mean, for the most part, if you're in the knitting world, other knitters are going to look at your sweaters, but everybody else you see out on the street is just looking at you look great. And that's what I'm going for. I'm not trying to impress knitters. And I'm happy when I do impress knitters. That's the biggest win when another knitter is
Well, see, the way I look at it is if I really wanted to impress them, if I really wanted to, then I could.
Uh-huh.
If I made up my mind that I wanted to impress them.
Yeah, but really.
Yeah.
I don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want a pretty sweater, and I like knitting.
So, one of the other things I wanted to talk about was something you mentioned last night at dinner, and that was how you've always been a maker. You were a sewer, and you talked about making your girlfriend's dresses. And was that high school or middle school? When
High school.
So just tell me about that. Tell us how you guys would do that.
So I always liked to make clothes, and before a school dance, my girlfriends would come over, and I would have them lay down on a piece of fabric, and I would like trace them and just make them dresses right before the dance. Like one year, I made polar fleece, like tank dresses, and we wore them with my girlfriend was from England, and she had a big collection of Doc Martens, because at the time in the United States you couldn't really get cool Doc Martens, but she had like floral Doc Martens and silver Doc Martens and pink ones. So we wore our little tank polar fleece dresses that I made like 2 hours before the dance, and our different
So
cool
these
Doc
weren't
Martens.
patterns. So I was imagining that you were like cutting, and I was thinking, so do these girls really appreciate the fact that she was making their dresses? But you're talking about like pretty simple dresses.
Well, sometimes, but I also made a couple friends' prom dresses that were more involved, and I would need a couple weeks to do those, or like a couple days, but not a couple hours. Like these were like, come over before the dance, we're gonna whip out 6 dresses.
Oh my gosh.
But like, you know, it gives you that freedom. Like when you're working with a stretch fabric, you just like lay down and you like make sure you go like a few inches out to the side, because it's got to go 3D. Or, you know, when you're teenagers, you're pretty small, but you need a bit to go around your body. And you can learn that the hard way. And polar fleece doesn't need to be hemmed.
I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun fact about Caitlin.
I thought it was fun to do, and we were so dorky. But in Alaska, you know, like you want to wear your cute little club dress, but it's super cold in the winter, so your polar fleece club dress.
So
And still with bare legs, but you're an idiot teenager.
But you had your Docs on.
And the Docs with socks, Docs and socks, and hand knitted hats usually. We weren't not high fashion.
So
you
funny.
you can't not be practical when you live in Alaska, and I think that translates to my knitting designs now.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So another fun fact, you mentioned that you used to ice skate.
Mm-hmm.
And that you liked gold costumes. Was that what we were talking about? Was gold costumes?
Kind of.
Or pantsuits? No, it was gold pantsuits.
Gold pantsuits, yeah. Well, so I'm really a shy...
So that's when I stopped her and I said, wait, don't tell me anymore. We're going to talk about this on the podcast. So
I'm really shy and introverted, and people don't believe me a lot of times when I say that, because I grew up as a competitive figure skater, and I had to learn how to like put on a show and like wear glittery costumes and be alone on the ice and entertain people. So I think that like that kind of, I did that, like that was a big part of my childhood, like training ice skating before school all summer long.
Wow.
Like it was serious. So
you had to get up early to do this.
I
didn't
got
you?
up at like 4. My mom drove me to the ice rink, and then
That's where butt crack of dawn came.
butt crack of dawn. Yeah, go into the
That's
ice
right.
rink at the butt crack of dawn, and it was like freezing cold. But so you know, like, so you can be an introvert and still be kind of a show person. And I don't know. I guess I think a lot of ice skaters get this ingrained love of sequins and sparkles and bright colors. And when I was
Splash. How does it look when you're moving?
it just, you don't mind that kind of attention, and you learn to express yourself visually. Like, I like to express myself with fashion rather than words. It's like you lead with, someone can know something about you just by looking at you, and you don't have to say anything, and then they can categorize you as like someone they maybe don't want to talk to, which is sometimes what I want. Like when I was in my 20s, I'd go to the bar in like weird dresses because I didn't want to be hit on by gross meatheads. You know?
No, yeah, I get it.
Fashion is like armor, you know, and so when I was in junior high, I wasn't sewing for my friends yet, but I sewed myself like these gold satin capri pants that I wore with a Beatles t-shirt and clogs. And, you know, you're expressing yourself. And some of us just do that visually.
I gotcha.
Yeah. I don't, does that...
Mom knows.
Yeah.
Look at her earrings.
Yeah,
She's expressing
you're a show
herself.
person.
But I wear my pearls.
So it's confused.
It's balance.
It's
right.
balance.
And throwing people off guard is.
So I have the earrings,
Uh-huh.
and you know, I don't know that we've ever talked about it, but
No.
I have more tattoos than most people.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a full back piece, a full leg, and 2 half sleeves.
that's super cool.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't show it though very often because
Rachel knows about your tattoos.
Oh yeah, Rachel knows.
Yeah.
Rachel, spin
Spin
cycle,
Spin cycle, yeah.
which I'm knitting with right now.
Right.
The dyed in the wool
Because
color.
they all have.
Yep, so she
tattoos.
picked out some yarn while she was here. She's coming up with something.
I don't know
now.
what it is
She
yet.
doesn't know what it is yet.
I cast out enough stitches for a neck, and
It's gold.
We'll see.
maybe it'll be good.
Yep.
I mean, the yarn's pretty, and it's Julie Asselin for the gold color,
The
which is
Lizu
ale.
DK.
Lizu DK. It's beautiful, and I just am excited because this doesn't look, when it's in a hank, you can't tell that it's like a gradient.
You were talking to somebody. I wanted you to watch it as I wound it. I love to wind spin cycle because it'll start out one color and then all of a sudden it'll layer with a lighter color, and it goes like that for a little while, and then this other color comes in that you weren't expecting. So it's
Well,
fun.
I just like all day during class I was like knitting. I was like I'm ready. I can't wait to start knitting with this.
Good.
But I haven't quite made the chart yet, so I don't know what it's going to be. But
Okay.
I'm super excited.
Good.
I like
Good.
knitting.
I know you do.
So I have one other question. So what is the design that you're most proud of? You're most proud of, not the one that's your favorite, but the one you're most proud of. Not the one
Well-
you like to wear the most.
I've said this before. Mon Sheep Works shawl that I did with Cindy of Mon Sheep Shop.
Okay.
It was my very first ever design, and I didn't really know how to knit yet. And I still think it's pretty, and I really like it, and I'm proud of it. But I had to figure out everything as I was going along, and it was super duper hard. So
that's
yeah, I'm the most proud of that because
I'm
it
trying
got
to think
me.
if I even know which one.
It's it's like a purple and pink crescent shawl.
Okay. I'll have to go back
Yeah.
and look. Is it a pattern you've released? Okay.
It was the very first. I might have released something else before, but it was the first thing I started doing. And I mean, I knew how to knit, but I had not ever written a knitting pattern.
well, knowing how to knit and designing and being able to write a pattern.
But honestly, I would say I didn't really know how to knit. I mean, I knew how to knit, stitch, and
Who
pearl
designs a
stitch.
pattern and doesn't know how to knit?
Yeah, but I knew I would be able to, because you could do anything.
Right.
That's right.
If somebody
Right,
else
you just have
can
to
do
make
it,
up your mind you're going to do it. Yeah.
I look out there. I'm like, if somebody else can do it, then I can do it too.
And
I
it's just yarn.
It's just yarn. You just got to put your mind to it.
Right.
And just like, it's going to take work and it might be hard, but
You might have to rip it out a few times.
but it's yarn and you can reuse it. It's not like fabric where you cut it and then
You're
True.
done.
you're sad.
True.
Or you have to make a quilt out of it after you cut
There's
it.
nothing worse than messing up cutting and then because you can only cut once.
Or I used to be a painter too. Like I did a lot of painting in school, and a painting, you know, you can paint over it, but not really. It's not. You can't reuse the paint. You can't.
Especially if it's black. It's hard to put lighter color on top
right.
of black.
And it's not the same as a blank canvas. You
Right.
get a layered look. But so yarn is very forgiving. It allows us to reuse it and mess around and make mistakes, and it's super good for all of us.
It is. It is. I agree with that.
It makes us better people.
And happy.
My husband, I didn't tell you guys this. Did I tell you guys this?
You told me. Tell
Yeah.
Heather.
Uh-oh.
I've converted my husband, and how he understands why knitting is so good. He had an incident with a road rage person. Not like a bad incident, but he was like,
Since
"This
you've been
person-"
here?
No.
Oh.
This was a while ago, but somebody was so angry, and they were like screaming at him out the window and flipping him off. And he was like, I was just thinking that if they just had knitting, they'd be a lot calmer. Inside every angry person is a happy knitter just waiting to come out. And I was like, you got it. I did it.
I need to do some more knitting.
There's just a happy knitter waiting to come out. You just need to find the
I just
thing.
need to find just a little bit more time.
And the thing. Because once you find the thing that clicks for you, you will make the time. Because I didn't have time. I've got 3 kids and a farm.
Listen, I had found the thing. I finished my sweater because I
But did
wasn't going to show up here at 9 o'clock this
Did it
morning.
make you
with that.
happy though?
I'm happy it's done.
Okay.
I'm
It
happy I get
didn't
to
make
wear it now.
It didn't make her happy while she was doing
Right.
it, though.
When you
Well, at
find the
1
thing-
o'clock last night, I was not that happy about it.
Some
But-
people it's colorwork, some people it's brioche, some people it's lace, some people it's just chunky
Yeah.
hats.
Yeah.
Some people it's an entirely different craft. But
What are you saying, Caitlin?
most people would be happier with knitting. Knitting is good for
Yeah.
almost everybody. But you know, find the thing that works for you. And I don't know, I make time for it.
Yeah.
I have found all kinds of ways, things that I don't really need to do.
Yeah, we talked about this. We talked about this on the way back from the airport.
I don't have laundry folded. I have laundry piles of clean laundry that children can pick through.
Pick through. Yeah, well, you know, I think folding is overrated.
It is. And the little boys who live in the country, they don't need straight, flat jeans.
No,
No.
no.
Mm-mm. They'll probably like to iron their jeans when they grow up.
Well, I know that we certainly have appreciated you being here, and it's been a fun weekend. I know I haven't gotten to spend as much time with you as Mom has, but we appreciate you coming. And I know that all of our fans and all of our shoppers and everybody's enjoyed it. Everybody that took your class.
Thank you
So we
so
can't
much.
wait for you to come back.
I can't wait
So
to
I
come back.
think. Did you guys look at the calendar? Did you figure
No,
anything
but,
out?
But we're gonna figure something.
Okay.
She's already told everybody she's coming back.
Oh, okay.
I
So
did.
that.
Mhm.
So when you
So-
say you're going to do it, you have to do it. So that
I-
means she's coming back.
Once I say something, I stick with it. I'm impulsive, but I stick with the
Yep.
weird impulsive
Do what you
decisions
say.
that
Say
I
what you
make.
mean. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank
So,
you, Caitlin.
all right.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye.